Chapter 51. Peacock Plume out, all laws broken. Under the 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal array, the ancient sea army was alive and well, even if it was destroyed. All of them were resurrected in the twinkling of an eye, and the army that broke into the array was immediately caught in a heavy siege, and their respective cloud beasts were chopped off from under their horses, and the reign of human beings fell wildly, and the peripheral cloud beasts fled in haste. For a time, around the 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal array of cultivators, they have a heartbeat, face horrified. Surrounding the grand formation, they did not dare to break into it again for a long time. Inside the grand formation, behind Guhai stood Gao Xianzi, Chen Chongzhen, and Xiaoru, and together they watched the reversal just now, all revealing excitement. "Helmsman, this grand formation is too powerful," Gao Xianzi said excitedly. "Rudder Master, where did you learn that?" Chen Chongzhen was also entangled in his excitement. By this moment, Chen Chongzhen's mindset had long been completely reversed. Ancient Sea's power was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Xiaoru was in the midst of a joyful giggle. Guhai looked around. The seated fierce general steeply bellowed, "Listen up, disciples of the Game Heaven Pavilion. There are still 6 days left. After 6 days, I will destroy the 100 longevity peach tree." The fierce general roared. Tens of thousands of cultivators all had an ugly look on their faces. This Guhai, what exactly is the origin of this Guhai? How could it be so demonic? Meng Tai was not far away with a look of disbelief in his eyes. Guhai, how could he set up such a big formation? The 9th prince was even more furious. This time, he didn't act rashly, but drove tens of thousands of cultivators to attack the big formation. How come he still couldn't defeat him? Guhai, the 9th prince, was anxious and angry. Below, above the square of a valley palace, next to the Grand Elder, stood the sickly young man. Cough, cough, cough. The sickly young man covered his mouth with a handkerchief and coughed for a while. 28 heaven and earth vertical array. This was set up by the pavilion master in his early years. How could Guhai? The Grand Elder said in a deep voice. The sickly young man's eyes narrowed slightly as he stared at the sky. It won't work after all. This Guhai is difficult to deal with. This matter is all due to the unborn. Not if. The Grand Elder was silent for a moment. No. Cluck, 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 cluck. No one has been able to force my Yichon pavilion to compromise. He Guhai is not enough. The sickly young man laughed coldly. Counting on them, after all, won't work. It's better for me to do it. Cough, cough, cough. The sickly young man coughed for a while. Wait, look, the Grand Elder said in steep surprise. Great brightness, King God. The sickly young man's pupils abruptly shrank. However, he saw that a black-robed man in the distance slowly flew high into the sky, without any support, without using a golden chess piece. With this flight, countless cultivators all around cast astonished gazes. This small world, isn't it suppressing cultivation? It can only be an 8th realm. How did he fly? Who is he? What is he doing? How can he fly? Countless cultivators cast astonished gazes, looking at the great brightness King God, wearing the black robe of the sun in disbelief. In front of the 100-foot cloud beast, the great brightness King God's figure was extremely small, but just such a small figure caused countless cultivators to reveal shocked expressions. To know, flying like this, even in the outside world, one would need at least the Yuan realm to be able to do so. But in this small world, this person was actually able to fly as well. When the great brightness King God arrived, a host of cloud beasts gave way. As if forming a chain reaction, the cultivators in all directions gave way, allowing the great brightness King God to get closer and closer to the grand formation. Buzz! The great brightness King God's figure stopped, stopping outside the vast array, the breeze blowing, the black robe swinging lightly. The great brightness King God just stood there, quietly looking towards the array. Within the great formation, Gu Hai's face changed. Because, even though the great brightness king god was wrapped in a black robe and his face could not be seen, Gu Hai still felt a pair of eyes staring at him in general. How did he do that? Isn't it only possible to have an innate realm cultivation? Cheng Chanshan's face changed. Follow what I said and return to the martial position, Gu Hai said in a deep voice. Yes, Gao Xianzi answered. Gao Xianzi, Chen Tronchen, and Xiaoru unnerved the three great cloud beast fierce generals to quickly disperse, leaving Gu Hai to maneuver the army to look out coldly. Gu Hai, well done, 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal formation. The great brightness king god laughed faintly. That laughter was very soft, but yet it strangely spread to everyone's ears in general, and countless cultivators were shaken. You're not a disciple of the game Heaven Pavilion. Who are you? Gu Hai said gruffly. If you can survive my hands, I'll tell you, the great brightness king god said indifferently. Gu Hai's face turned cold and said, Your Excellency, you want the 100 longevity peach tree. 100 longevity peach tree. Here, I don't want to take this trouble. I just want to kill you. The great brightness king god laughed lightly. Gu Hai's face changed for a moment and said, Want to kill me? I don't know Your Excellency well, right? I only kill depending on my mood. I never need a reason. Are you ready? I can start now, so go all out. Ha 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 ha. The great brightness king god laughed. Gu Hai's face turned cold. Your Excellency better not make any mistakes. This great formation of mine can mobilize the power of the rules of heaven and earth. If you can't mobilize it, I'm still too lazy to kill you myself. 28 heaven and earth vertical and horizontal grand formation. What does that count for? Divine light. The great brightness king god let out a cold snort. Boom. Behind the great brightness king god, 10 pillars of green light steeply rushed up into the sky, each of which was 1,000 zhonglong in general, and as soon as the pillars of green light came out, half of the sky was instantly dyed green in general. Boom. The 10 pillars of green light immediately exuded a breathtaking aura, and the surrounding cultivators' faces immediately changed wildly, and they retreated back and forth by the impact of this aura. What is that? Peacock Plume. Countless cultivators' faces abruptly changed. The shape of the 10 green-colored pillars of light was precisely the general shape of a peacock's tail, charging straight up into the sky with a hostile aura. The 1,000-foot peacock plume was surrounded by icy coldness, and the air condensed a stream of chilly smoky air. Gu Hai's face sank as he probed his hand and waved, military formation, defend the enemy. Roar. Thousands of generals let out a roar, all of them pointing their swords and weapons straight at the Doming King God in the outside world. Some morale. King Ling breaks all laws, break it for me. The great brightness King God waved his hand. 10,000-foot peacock plumes were suddenly and violently flung towards the grand formation, charging straight towards the army. The peacock plumes brushed out and bloomed with dazzling green light, dyeing that part of the world green as the rolling green light rushed straight towards the grand formation. Boom. With a loud bang, the grand formation violently shook with a bang as 10 peacock plumes bombarded and brushed towards a piece of generals. Kill, kill, kill. A piece of generals suddenly chopped at the peacock plumes with a roar. Boom. With a loud bang, the large formation cloud shook violently, and a group of dozens of generals actually completely collapsed after blocking it for just a moment. The peacock plume crashed back. Oh, there really is some meaning. Cluck, 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 cluck. That's more like it. There was a hint of hideousness in the voice of the great brightness king god. Brush. The peacock plume was like an absolute long whip, once again violently brushing over, even more violently than just now, and the blossoming green light also became more and more dazzling. Inside, Gu Hai's face changed, and under his maneuver, once again a large number of generals rushed up. Boom. With a loud bang, the large formation shook violently, and once again, Nearly 100 generals exploded. "Oh, looks like it's not enough. How about some more?" the great brightness king god said excitedly. Probing his hand, he put away the scepter in his hand, and with a wave of his left hand, 10,000-foot peacock plumes once again emerged from his back. The 10 from earlier arrived on the left hand. At this moment, it was as if the great brightness king god was grasping 10 peacock plumes in each of his left and right hands, as if 2 bundles of 1,000 zhong giant whips were thrown out with a roar. "Break!" The great brightness king god let out a loud shout. Brush, brush, boom. The great formation of clouds shook with a roar, and the 2 peacock plumes flung at them, causing an incomparable impact, and instantly, 1/10 of the great formation of clouds was blatantly shattered. And these 2 brushes came. Nearly 1,000 generals exploded. What? Countless cultivators in the 4 directions had long since stared off their eyes. Nearly 1,000 soldiers and horse cloud beasts are. That black-robed man simply flung them twice, and they were gone. Who the hell was he? With just his individual strength, he could be so ferociously powerful. How is this possible? Isn't this world only innate realm? Unending life, Gu Hai shouted as his face changed. Boom! The surrounding clouds were quickly recreated, and a large number of generals were quickly reborn. Break, brush, 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 brush. The great brightness king god flung the peacock plume faster and faster, and between the ferocious flings, it seemed to form a green-colored storm, constantly annihilating the cloud formation. So what if it was a big formation? The peacock plume was flung out, and one force broke all laws. Unending life. Let's see if you're faster at living and dying, or I'm faster at destroying your great formation. Break. The great brightness king god let out a loud shout. Boom. Tilt 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 tilt. The green light brushed in, and with a loud sound, like the sky collapsing and the earth cracking, the huge cloud formation was reduced by as much as 1/5 in an instant. Born to last, Gu Hai's face changed drastically. Isn't it enough? I have more power this time. Again. Haha. The great brightness king god laughed. Brush. The 2 peacock plumes merged into one, as if they were going to completely destroy the entire grand formation at once. Gu Hai's face changed. Was this madness? Gao Xianzi. You guys guard the 4 directions. Gu Hai let out a loud shout. Phew. Gu Hai's seated horse let out a loud roar and roared to meet the peacock plume. Gu Hai sat down the fierce general in the hands of the square sky painting halberd a wave. It meets up. Around nearly 1,000 small soldiers steeply rushed into the fierce general place, as if with the fierce general fusion general disappeared. Fierce general's steeply body shape has risen more than 3 times. Step between. Hostile. Looking at the peacock plume that was flung at him, the square heavenly painted halberd rushed to meet the battle. Finally coming out to fight, but it's already too late. Under the peacock plume, 10,000 laws break. Chop. The great brightness king god fiercely exerted his force in a cold drink. A monstrous killing aura came straight at Gu Hai. The fierce general's face was hideous, and the square heavenly painted halberd in his hand suddenly blossomed with a rolling black, hostile aura as he met the peacock plume. Powerful and powerful, the fierce general let out a loud roar. At the time of the roar, the entire cloud mist formation was violently shaken, as if countless forces were gathered into the square sky painted halberd, and it blasted towards the peacock plume. Boom! A loud bang rolled out a monstrous storm, rushed straight in all directions. Close to the cloud beasts, immediately by this storm impact of flying backwards, the huge sound is fried countless cultivators as suddenly a burst of tinnitus. Huge impact storms swept the earth below. The vegetation on the ground as suddenly was blown short ahead. The square sky painting halberd and the peacock plume collided once. Actually, no one can't help anyone in general. Gu Hai's face sank. The person I want to kill has never not died. I grant you to die in a forceful battle. Again, I'll see how much power you fierce generals have. The great brightness king god said in a cold voice. Under the green plume, all laws are broken, chop. Powerful and powerful, boom. The great formation roared and shook. The great brightness king god catalyst the peacock plume and ancient sea's fierce generals too. Collide ferociously, colliding over and over again, with ferocious auras shooting out in all directions. No one letting go, and for a time, the battlefield glued together as a ball. However, the power of the great brightness king god was getting stronger and stronger. Wuxia had no choice but to let the fierce generals fuse more and more small soldiers. As more and more minions were fused by the fierce general, the battle continued. Wuxia showed a scowl on his face and didn't let it go at all, because Wuxia understood that this person was like a madman, and if he let it go, he would definitely die. Time and time again, the impact, so that the great bright king god also war will be more general. The high altitude trembled violently, causing countless cultivators in the world to reveal shocked looks. But soon, the shock in the eyes of countless cultivators had turned into a wave of greed. Wuxia had been restrained by that sun-black-robed man. Didn't that mean that he could take the opportunity to seize the 100 longevity peach tree? The gazes of Mengtai, the 9 dukes, and countless other cultivators turned together to the center of the grand formation. Once more, take the opportunity to break into the formation. Someone let out a roar.